The truth is, your house is not an asset. That's right, your house is a liability. In this video, we're going to challenge one of the most controversial topics that has been handed down by generations, that your home ownership is an asset when it's not. Before we get started, let's talk about the motivation and inspiration of today's video. All of this information stems from the popular book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you do. It is one of the most influential books out there when it comes to financial freedom and starting your journey, taking that first step towards financial independence. Now let's jump into the controversial concept that owning a home is actually a liability rather than an asset. Because this is something that we've been taught since the day we were born, that one day you should save all your money, buy your home, and that is the best investment you can make. But is that correct? Now, for the purpose of this video and keeping our eyes glued to the concept of financial independence, we're going to define an asset as something that puts money in your pocket and a liability as something that takes money out of your pocket. And you need to remember that that's a key concept which we're building this video around. When you buy a home to live in, we classify that as a liability. And you may ask why? Well, because when you own the home, it's draining your wallet, it's draining your finances. You have a series of expenses which actually drain your wealth. You've got mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance costs, and then you've also got unexpected repairs and maintenance costs on top of all of that. And the problem at hand is all of these expenses build up, they slowly drip away from your wealth, and they leave you less capital to actually invest your wealth and grow your wealth in the future. Now you may be saying, oh, my mortgage payments, that doesn't really count because I'm paying off the house. But is that correct? Because often half of your mortgage payment is actually going towards interest expense. And on top of that, you don't just buy the home and live in it. Often we're trying to buy wardrobes, a new sofa, a new kitchen. It's all these unneeded expenses that we then pile on into owning the house as well. So what about renting? Well, many people view renting as just throwing away money, just burning it in a pile of fire, because it's money that's not going towards anything. You're not building any assets or capital with it. But I'm going to offer a different perspective, and this perspective is opportunity cost. The opportunity cost to actually free up your capital and invest it elsewhere. So there are three big pluses when it comes to renting. The first one is relocation. So when you're renting, it's easier to get up and relocate, and that's so important when you're young. Yes, if you have a family, maybe you need to buy a home because you're not going to be moving around as often. But if you're young, the opportunity cost of having to say no to job opportunities in other countries is much bigger if you're tied down in a house which you then have to sell to move your life. The second cost to consider is your deposit. Now, if you want to buy a home, you're going to have to put down a minimum of 10% of that property value as a deposit, depending where you are in the world. Obviously, that's going to vary. But think about it for a second. You could be tying up 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70K in a deposit, which isn't being used. It's not being utilized to grow that wealth, to gain some sort of interest on it. It's just sat there. And yes, you may say you could have capital appreciation in the home you've just bought, but that's not real money. It's not money hitting your wallet, is it? It's just a balance on a piece of paper. What you could do is use your deposit to buy a different house, do it up, rent it out, and then use those rental payments to rent your own place. That way you're living for free and you've got an asset going up in value at the same time. The third cost is then unexpected repair maintenance costs. If you're renting, if something goes wrong, you don't have to worry about it. That's on the landlord to fix and do up. And again, this applies if you're part of the younger generation. Do you care about having a brand new sofa, a brand new washing machine, a brand new boiler, and having to maintain these? Or do you just want to be given something and leave those worries, leave that risk to the landlord that they have to fix it if something goes wrong? Because the key there is, if you're not using your money on repair maintenance costs, you've freed it up to invest and grow your wealth. Opportunity cost, that's what we're talking about here. So now that we've touched on and challenged the traditional mindset, how could you actually grow your wealth? So again, we need to emphasize the concept of generating income generating assets. That those three keywords are so important. Income generating assets. These are investments which are going to put money into your wallet and not take it out. So instead of saving for 5, 6, 7 years and using all that money you've saved to buy a house and that's it, you're not getting a return on it, why don't you use that money to actually buy a house to rent out, as we discussed? Or if you don't want to be a landlord, why don't you buy a real estate investment trust? These are essentially stocks you can buy, and you get your rental payments in the form of dividends because you're buying into these large companies that own hundreds, if not thousands, of rental properties, and you're getting a portion of that rental income. Or on top of that, you could use that capital to buy a pre-existing business and turn it around, or buy some dividend stocks. The possibilities are endless when you're not sinking in years of your life savings into a house and then gaining no benefit from it. Because again, yes, the house may go up in value, but are you ever going to sell it? And the significant advantage of starting early and not spending years on years on years buying a property and that's it. The key advantage is compounding interest. Time is our biggest friend and biggest enemy. The earlier you start investing, the longer time frame you have for your wealth to grow, and time is your greatest asset when it comes to investing. It doesn't matter what stock you're picking, what rental houses you're buying, what businesses you're buying. Time is the key asset, so you want to start as early as possible. Knowledge is power when it comes to investing, and it's crucial to educate yourself. Don't take advice from people that haven't achieved the success that you one day want to achieve, because the truth is, if you let societal norms dictate your financial decisions, you're gonna end up working till you die like 99% of the population.